Just picture someone who you think is universally loved. It's not Caitlin Clark. Angel Reese is the same. She has people who are her detractors, people who are her proponents. They are the perfect yin and yang. The WNBA brass, the NBA owners, when they see that all people are talking about right now is the investigation into hateful comments toward Angel Reese, there's no room for this sort of racism. The Chicago Sky had a statement. The WNBA had a statement. Everyone's got something to say. Caitlin Clark got a flagrant foul. Angel Reese started it. Clark finished it. Clark started it. Reese finished it. It doesn't matter. The script, and I don't mean the script of the season like the NFL. People allege that. I'm talking about the script for success. Means that you've got to find people who can be universally loved and hated because it means there's engagement. Caitlin Clark's statement about what happened against Angel Reese was extremely purposeful. Her telling you there's no place for that in our game, talking about the comments, the hateful comments by a fan, the racist comments. There's no place for that in society. She's saying that purposefully. She may believe it, but it doesn't even matter. Her role in this is to take it as far as you can take it as the hero and as the villain, but removing any sort of third rail issue that creates people wanting to distance themselves from the product, people wanting to turn the flow of funds off. It doesn't matter whether you're woke, not woke, whether you've gotten rid of DEI, whether you have kept it, but you've called it a different name because you're worried about the president. None of that matters. What is universal is that no organization, no matter how much they need or get from the president and Washington, no corporation is going to come out and support racism or racist comments, no matter how racist they may be or how much they agree with the racist comments. You don't come out and say it because it's bad for business. So having Clark come out against, having the WNBA saying they're investigating the allegations of hateful fan comments. Why? Because they have to make it clear that even the villains have certain protections. The villains need to know. Think about this. Go back to wrestling. Can you imagine if there were better healthcare benefits for the heroes and the villains were just left to bleed on their own and couldn't get their bodies taken care of? Can you imagine if the villains in wrestling were paid at a different scale than the heroes when they're equally as responsible for the revenue and the eyeballs? Once you're on level playing field rate comp, it allows you to be differentiated on different levels, which allows for the hero-villain story to be told, which allows for what the WNBA is going through. Here's the problem, and here's where you're going to disagree. The WNBA is making a big mistake. Putting their hands and in the pocket of Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark and riding that the way they're riding it. The difference with Magic and Bird is Magic and Bird were ready, willing, and able to take on that role. I've seen no indication. Caitlin Clark is great with fans. She's signed. She's amenable to things and appearances. Angel Reese is great, fine, signs, no problem. But it's a whole different story when there is a corporate initiative that you have to bring home with you. The rest of us have corporate initiatives, and it doesn't leave work. When you are Clark and Reese, it is a 24-hour, you can never escape it. The price of fame? Maybe, except they're not collecting it on the court. The price of being a hero or a villain? Both sides need to know what part, how they're going to play it, and be hand in hand. It doesn't feel like that's where Reese and Clark are. Magic and Bird fought on the court only. Magic and Bird had unbelievable respect for each other always, almost in awe of the other person's talent. If you ask Caitlin Clark and many other people around the WNBA, they'd say Angel Reese, not good enough. Not a good enough player to play the villain or hero. You have to be the quality of Magic and Bird. The WNBA, however, made their bed because the WNBA is not ripe enough for this sort of behavior. They're not in a position of a league where they can actually capture the benefit of this hero-villain story. They try with ancillary announcements. They try by saying, hey, the women are taken care of. They try by saying that we have in a new CBA, we're going to negotiate and there's going to be changes. But none of that is what the WNBA needs to be doing. In order for the WNBA to actually be a league that matters, they have to be a league that matters. By distracting people into these shenanigans, you're missing the whole first part about a league that mattered and then fell off track, and you're trying to get a league back on track. The WNBA is not trying to get back on track. They're trying to find a track. They've never had a track before. You can't get back to greatness if you've never been great. You can't make strategic decisions to become great if you have no floor plan, if you have no frame of reference. The WNBPA is the players union for the women, and they are in real trouble because they are telling players that we are going to outmaneuver the WNBA teams and the owners. We are going to get pay that'll be unrivaled to anything these women have seen. They're missing a very important point. The money that they think is there is not there because the NBA team owners involved in WNBA teams are taking the additional allocations and they're trying to make good on the investments that they made in the WNBA that have been losing year after year after year. And you've heard Adam Silver talk about it. You've heard him say, overnight success, forget it. We've gotten crushed. It has been 1 year of losing after another. Owners don't like that. They don't write it off. They don't want it. The WNBA needs to get fixed, and the players union fighting with the league about player benefits, player salary, players saying we're willing to walk off the job, we're willing to miss time. Maybe they need to speak to their NBA brethren and realize that that threat doesn't work with owners of a league that is fledgling. And make no mistake, the WNBA is fledgling. They have a great bump with Caitlin Clark. They're trying to maximize the bump with a rivalry with Angel Reese. But the bump the WNBA has is from such a low place that the bump that seems so significant puts them in a place that's fine. It's okay. It's definitely not epic. How do I think this ends? This ends with the realization by players that they are not going to get what they want. This ends with the WNBA and the Players Association negotiating and covering up the negotiating gap that exists by talking about diversity and equity and inclusion, talking about prosperity and not living it. That's a famous one. People who live off credit card debt, they talk about how rich they are, but they're not. It's the quiet ones that you have to watch out for. I'm excited to keep following this story, but I don't want you to be mistaken that all of this talk is a positive for the WNBA, because it's not, but not for the reason that we should be focusing on the players and focus on the court and take the focus away from all of this other stuff. That's not the reason why this story doesn't work for the WNBA. The reason is the WNBA is not in position to make this story work.